So take a look at that. That's all I have to say, is that I don't have a vacant building, and I think this vacant building issue is, I think you're barking up the wrong tree with this. I think that you'd be better off to assist in getting businesses started in town than trying to snuff out whatever interest there is.
In your definition of vacant.
I'm sorry, this gentleman has the floor.
Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's really all I have to say. And my question to you is, what are you doing to bring business into town?
Thank you.
Which building is yours again?
I'm at 210 West.
Okay.
Your definition of vacant means you submit. that
I'm
you-
sorry, you've had your time to speak.
Oh, so we can't really,
We have no one else signed up to address the board, so we are gonna go forward with our meeting.
vacant says you relinquish ownership or interest in the property.
I'm going to ask you to please be silent now, because we are now conducting a meeting. The next item of business is reports and actions. We're gonna ask the village engineer for number one, which would be project updates.
Good evening. Couple things I just wanna let you know that's going on with projects for the village. We've got staff working with Cindy right now on the DCO grant application. Congratulations, we're seeking that out as well. Had a good meeting tonight with the fire district for drainage. Pizza was there, Mark was there, Julie was there. I think we had a really good meeting, and I think we're a lot closer. Is that fair to say? Keith? The Apache Street, before you guys tonight, we've got a contract for the phase 3 engineering for Apache Street. Jim and I were talking earlier, and the contractor has got the contract put together on that already. So, we've got a contract before you for that. And then, I don't know, you wanna take action on that first, before I move into the water main?
Which would be Apache Street?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's do that.
This is the, proposal, or we need to accept the bid, is that correct?
No, this is the one for the construction inspection for Apache Street.
Ah, I'm sorry, okay.
That's all right.
Construction engineering agreement. We need to go ahead and approve that,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
The council has had an opportunity to look at the contract and go over the contract, so I would be looking for a motion to approve that contract.
For $75,283.
I'll make a motion to approve the engineering services agreement for Apache Street.
Second.
Discussion? There's no discussion?
I
Go ahead.
I did have one question.
Sure.
I may have to rescind that question because I can't find where it's at. And it had to do with the stormwater, link to the stormwater lines.
Okay,
Is there gonna be one on each side of the street?
no, be one on the south side of the street, and it'll be laterals
I know it's like
across the street,
Okay,
so it'll be,
that's why the length. was
didn't match
more
up to the
than
street,
length
like,
of the
yeah,
street.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
That's
Plus you've got the storm sewer that runs out through the
runs
field
out to
too.
the field, yes,
Yeah.
okay, that answers the
Yep.
question.
Yeah.
Any other
Storm sewer
discussion,
run?
questions?
Pardon?
Where does the storm sewer run to?
Runs out through the field in the east of Apache Street out to, there's a trunk, storm sewer we're tying into, setting a new manhole out there.
Anyone else? There's no further discussion, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Roll call vote to approve construction engineering agreement for the Apache Street project. Mark Cinnamon,
Yes.
David Simpson,
Yes.
Joy Fay,
Yes.
Denny Sands,
Yes.
Allison Kidd Props,
Yes.
Jeff Cooker.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next item will be consideration approval of bid award for the Shabana Road Water Project. Bids were open 16th?
16th, January 16th at 10 a.m. we received bids for the Shabana Road water main replacement project. Parent low bidder was Martin Company. The bid that was read was $748,000. They had made an error in their bid. The actual number is $747,829.15. So it was an error to your favor. We would recommend that we award that contract. As part of that, you remember, there's, we're looking for IEPA loan funding on the project. We talked with, the bids came in higher than expected. We talked with the IEPA, and this time of year, they're finding projects that aren't ready for bid, and their fiscal year ends July 1st. So we'll be able to go back to them for additional funding and additional loan forgiveness, principal forgiveness as well, to make up the difference with the higher bids. So if you guys wanna go ahead and award that, then we'll go ahead and tradition and seek additional funding from the IEPA.
So at this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve the award bid for Shabana Road Project.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Have a second discussion, any questions?
Just
concerns?
specify who we're awarding it to,
Yes.
Okay.
which if it's for the low bid, it would be Martin and Company.
Right? Yeah,
Do you have any experience with Martin and Company?
a lot, yeah.
They did something here,
They did the
Hiawatha
paving.
Pueblo Street.
Quite a few times.
Last year?
Yeah.
Year before?
Yeah.
They did sewer
They do
water
a lot of
before.
work on there. They're good.
Go ahead, Mark.
Question?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know as we've been working through this project, I think engineering's been going on about 2 years now. And I think the board is under the understanding that it was, the IEPA loan would be 50% forgiven. And that still stands, and now with the possibility of getting even possibly more forgiveness.
Yeah, yeah, that's, they have, like I said, they have projects, that, you know, they budget for all the projects that are submitted for, that are selected for the year. They put on their intended funding list. And sometimes some of those projects won't come through for one reason or another, you know, whether it be, you know, environmental issues, whether it be easements that can't be acquired, whatever, that they may roll over into the next fiscal year, so they have funds available. And then what we're gonna do, we've talked to them, that we'll go back to them and ask them for additional funding of the loan and for the principal forgiveness as well, 50/50. Yep. And I think the interest rate was, one, maybe in this. Yes, I mean.
1.36.
Yeah, there you go, 1.36%, yeah, pretty good interest rate. And that would take care of those lead lines as well.
On Chapman Road.
Yeah, the lead line replacements, you gotta have to pay for it, it's only $9,600, I
The
think.
ones in the house.
The lead lines would be included in that.
In the 747, that's correct,
To the houses that have them?
to the house. I think there's 7. That's
I think
the
so.
number. Yeah, I think there's 7 of them.
Additional questions?
When
How
would
much
they
was
get
that
started
for?
on this project?
Well, we've gotta go through the IEPA loan approval process, so I'm 90 days. Yeah, 90 to 120 days, something like that.
Did you get your name?
How much was the lead line replacement the village will have to pay for?
$9,600.
But that can get included with the IEPA stuff, right?
No.
Cannot, okay.
Of the 747,000, you have to pick up that 9,600. And that 9,600 is not eligible for loan forgiveness.
Do you think that 9,600 is going to become available to some lead line replacement?
No,
No, not at all. That's not our
No
problem.
grants available for that?
yeah, but we've gotta have our inventory done first.
We're working on that.
Yeah. timing just didn't quite match up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions we have? for-
But we felt that this is actually the time to get those done though, while we're out there digging.
Can we, is there a possibility you can grant to get?
I'm asking, yeah.
All right, if there's no further discussion, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Roll call vote to award bid to Martin and Company for $700,047, $829.15 for the Chavano Road project. David Simpson,
Yes.
Denny Sands,
Yes.
Joy Fay,
Yes.
Jeff Cooker,
Yes.
Allison Kid-Crops.
Yes.
Mark Cinnamon,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, we'll go on to, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you guys, appreciate your time.
Bud, Public Works, what do you got for us?
Well, we've had a little bit of snow in the last couple of weeks,
Where?
but anyway, and that didn't help with the garbage day on Friday being canceled, and everybody left their garbage cans out there the whole week, and so that was part of the issue, but then the wet snow and then the dry snow and the blowing snow. But we've hauled the boatload out uptown, and, it's looking a little bit better, but I don't know about this ice and rain that we're gonna be getting. We got a couple more meters in. We took the Christmas trees and stuff down at Breed Park after the last meeting, and we put all the decoration stuff back. So, and then we took an inventory of cords and stuff for the committee that we'll need for next year. And I think that's about it. If there's any other questions?
All the equipment okay?
Yeah. Okay, we did order 2 4-wheel tires for the
Correct.
550. And then we went through Jadon, and then we got them put on Thursday.
Okay. Any other questions for Bud, for Public Works? If not, next item will be committee reports. Finance, Allison, anything?
No, nothing new.
Okay, infrastructure, Mark?
Not a whole lot new, other than what we just discussed. And
Okay.
Projects, another project coming up, possibly in a couple of years, will be a Line Street,
Okay,
new major project.
that's a major project. If nothing else there, development, Allison, anything?
No, I didn't make it to the 501c3 meeting, but I did get emails from Jen, so, as far as that goes, they're switching their meetings to odd months, and then the subcommittees are gonna meet on the even months, so just moving forward with those, and we are officially a 501c3, they received the documentation
Very good.
so it's all good.
Next one would be public affairs. Dave, what do you got, anything?
Nothing for this month until we start working on the 4th of July festival in March.
All right, then we're gonna move on to the sheriff's report. Everyone has had an opportunity to take a look at it. Any questions? Anything of interest or anything you want me to share with the sheriff or ask? Let me know. Otherwise, if there are no questions, we're gonna move on to the village clerk. We're looking for the, number one, the approval of the regular board minute meetings from December 18th, 2023.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
And second, discussion. And roll call vote, please. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item would be zoning, permits issued to date.
There's just been one issued since, the end of the last meeting, and that would be, I put it in the packet for you guys. 402 West Comanche, the shed building is going to be demolished at some point when the weather allows. A blue-gray shed diagonal from Casey's.
Do you have anything else then?
But one thing of note on that is, if it comes up again, is in the past, in the minutes, it's been stated that the village board shall approve all building demolition. So I just wanted to make sure that it's still how you'd like to go forward, so you can notify BNF that they can't approve without village board consensus for any demolition.
I don't think anyone is opposed to that, so
Okay.
is that a general consensus?
Yes.
We'll
I'll
go
send an
ahead.
email to Vince.
Okay.
Does anybody have an issue with this one?
All right, moving forward, we're gonna go to financial. And we will be looking for a motion to approve the bills and payroll.
Motion to approve the bills and payroll.
Second.
I have a second discussion. There's no discussion, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Roll call vote to approve bills and payroll for January. David Simpson.
Yes.
Allison Kidd Props.
Yes.
Joy Fay.
Yes.
Mark Cinnamon.
Yes.
Denny Sands.
Yes.
Jeff Cooker.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item would be approval of the treasurer's report. I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
I have a second discussion. There's no discussion, can I have a roll call vote?
Roll call vote to accept the treasurer's report. Joy Fay.
Yes.
David Simpson.
Yes.
Denny Sands.
Yes.
Mark Cinnamon.
Yes.
Jeff Cooker.
Yes.
Allison Kidd Props.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Utility billing treasurer, what do you have for us under 201 East?
201 East, as Adam, stated, they're requesting that you did approve that they, go back to a single family dwelling as of January 1st, the end of the quarter that they requested it in. They would like it to go back to June.
Or whatever the last billing cycle.
The last billing, okay, that was
We're not asking for
October
any
through
money back.
December. The one that's out now due January 30th. I presented the whole bill because that's how I deal with them. And they thought, I was just saying that the garbage was the only thing that couldn't be removed until January because of our contract. So they'd like to be able to have that second bill waived, other than the garbage. I got that right?
Please.
I need a motion to waive it.
I make my motion to waive it.
Got a motion? Got a second? Do I have discussion? There's no discussion.
Okay.
Just have a, I motion on that?
Roll call. 'cause
Roll
it's
call
money.
for money, okay. Have a roll call vote, please, on the motion.
Joy Fay.
Yes.
Allison Kidd Props.
Yes.
Jeff Cooker.
Yes.
Mark Cinnamon.
Yes.
Denny Sands.
Yes.
David Simpson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Any other issues or concerns?
Cindy will issue a new bill.
Yeah, no,
Or Lloyd and Bill?
yeah, I'll get you a new bill. No, I don't, bills are due by the 30th, 6 o'clock, so.
Okay. We're gonna move on to old business, the intergovernmental agreement with Shell and the Fire Protection meeting. I know there was a discussion of it earlier. I don't think we have to further discuss it. Would that be correct?
Yeah, it's probably worth mentioning, Curtis, was there and explained the need or lack thereof of the retaining wall, which is a fairly expensive part of the project. Curtis feels it's not critical, it's not, frankly, I think you would say it's not gonna do any good.
Yeah, there may be an area up there at the front end that it would benefit, but not for full length.
Right, and, the agreement that we had approved, I don't know if it was November or earlier than that.
It was before December, yeah.
That agreement had in it that we were gonna build the retaining wall as part of the project. The bottom line is the fire department is fine with the idea of not building the retaining wall if Curtis is convinced that it's gonna work. Obviously, all they care about is it working. The agreement that we approved also, however, had in it a provision that said that once we do this project, it's one and done. We're done with the fire department. We're not gonna be, we don't wanna hear about the fire department anymore. Mutual release. And they're nervous about that, and understandably so, because they're saying, if you don't do what you said you were gonna do and it doesn't work, we wanna be able to come back and point out that it doesn't work. Is that fair, Mark?
I think that's fair.
And that sounds reasonable.
Discussed.
It seemed reasonable.
Mhm.
So they approved, the idea of moving forward with the project with some minor changes to the agreement that we have, the draft that we're working with. They said they would have their lawyer send it to me tomorrow to look at, and,
And understandably, this is in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've, we've gotta be able, all of us agree, it's time to move
Right.
forward with it. And then we've gotta actually throw some designs together. And that's the reason I'm hesitating a little bit on that north end, because right there, the very north end of the building, it may actually benefit from a short retaining wall, as opposed to running full length. So, we can take a look at that, if that's what you want us to do, and we'll come up with a design on that. And then, either go for bid or some of the contractor do that, right?
So, good meeting,
Yeah.
good atmosphere, Danny, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, it was a good, nice meeting, everybody was friendly and wanted to get it done.
Yep.
Sounds good.
I don't know if somebody wanna make a motion to, go ahead, Mark. I'm just thinking it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I think it was a very, very productive meeting. I think we reached a resolution to the issue. So I would like to make a motion that, I don't know how to phrase this, is this something we're gonna have to vote on down the road once we get the intergovernmental agreement has not been signed yet, it's going to be
It is
amended.
not, right.
But once it's amended, we discuss those things tonight, and I think between Denny and I anyway, and the board hasn't seen it yet. But I think I would just like to have it in the minutes that it's been discussed, and I would suggest that the board move forward upon reviewing and agreeing to the amended intergovernmental agreement.
Mark, if I may, do you want us to go ahead and get going on a design on that?
Yeah, I think we should move ahead and have the design work, approved.
Wanna get it done when the weather breaks.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, rather than waiting until the heat is on to get started.
Yeah, moving along.
All right.
Can we discuss a target date, 90 days after the intergovernmental agreement or something like that?
We need to finish the motion first.
Well, it's gonna be contractor availability.
Yes, yes, I will.
But just get it done as quickly as.
That's the reason I'm suggesting going ahead and moving forward and get the design done, so we can start and talk to the contractor and see what the availability.
What do you need?
I have a motion, I
We
need
need a second on the
second.
motion before discussion.
I got Denny seconded, now you discuss.
I already answered it.
Oh, okay. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We're going ahead. Okay, next item is property notices, violations, and maintenance. One of the, buildings you can address, at 304.
West Navajo has been demolished.
Were all the materials behind?
Yes.
There was a pile at first and then it seemed
Yeah,
to
they did a
disappear
scrapper.
within a week, so.
You had a scrapper come out. They did
You're all
a nice job.
familiar with this one? This is where the garage was caving in, and they eventually, so if you could prepare a letter telling them, thank you very much, and, similar to the, Kim letter.
Okay.
The other item, the Lever property is still in court, I believe. So, another, under property, notices, violations, et cetera, we have had a couple vehicles that were not moved during the snow. One vehicle, I think it was moved back and forth, but it wasn't properly moved so that we could shovel. The other vehicle hasn't ran there for 5 days with snow packed around it and stacking up. So I'm looking for a nod of approval from the council. I'm going to send a letter to this person that you recommend that I contact him in regard to the violation, in that your vehicle has not been moved since the snowfall of January 16th. To date, you've incurred a minimum of $50 a day, totaling $300. You can submit a check to the office of the village clerk as soon as possible to avoid further fines. And I'll let the council know that each day it continues, it's another $50. And when the snow has been cleared from the street, whichever occurs first. So if the snow is still on the street, it hasn't occurred yet, even though the streets, essentially, most of our streets are cleared by now, but there's still snow packed in that area. So also, I wanna let the let the council know that any fees or costs incurred by the village with respect to attorneys, private collection agents retained by the village attorney under this subsection shall be charged to the offender. So that will all be included to the offender. And I just need your nod of approval to go ahead and send this person that letter, and I think there might be one other.
There's one on Illini Street.
One on
too.
Illini Street that will
You
also
can't tell there's
receive
a
that
car
letter.
there, it just looks like a big mound of snow. but
What was
there's
the
a-
address you were talking about?
It was at the corner of Shabana and Cherokee, on the west corner. East corner, I'm sorry, east corner. It's a white pickup truck. Now, I have been in touch with the attorney to find out how can we, enforce ordinances, since we, it would cost a lot of money to have the sheriff's office do this. So, in looking at our ordinances, we can do it. We'll send them a letter. If they do not comply, then we can send it to a collection agency. So if somebody's in violation of an ordinance, we'll send them a letter, tell them what the fine is, and if they don't satisfy the fine, then we'll just send it to a collection agency. We won't have to go through the courts, we won't have to go through, the sheriff's office to write the tickets. We'll just make the letters up ourselves, send them to them, and it's all within our ordinances, and, we can stand to collect. Okay, and I would just need kind of a nod of approval to go ahead, I don't need a motion or anything like that. Just if you all think it's, all right to go ahead with this, I will go ahead and get this letter made up and sent out to these two people at a minimum right now. All right, we'll move on to vacant buildings, consideration approval of the next step of the vacant buildings. We're looking at, since we queried people to deposit the money, register their buildings, they have been incurring fines of $50 a month. This month will incur an additional $50 a month, and we have asked the attorney to put a lien on the property. This is what we agreed to when we have been working on this vacant building ordinance for a year and a half. This has been before committees, this has been on the board, we've talked about it, obviously, at just about every meeting for the past year and a half. So it should not come as a surprise to anyone on the board, because we all voted to go ahead and do this. So again, I'm not looking for a motion to do this, I'm just looking for, again, nod of approval. We'll resend the letters with the additional fines.
I've got one question. I've been kind of confused about what's a vacant building and what's not a vacant building.
Denny, we've been over this, I don't know, how many times? Allison, if you wanna address it, we have gone over this.
Well, my one question, I'll just ask you one question. My one question is storage considered a non-use for a vacant building?
If there's a non-use of a vacant building and they want storage, then if you want storage, you have to apply to zoning, because there is no avenue for storage. It has to go through a variance, and that variance goes through our zoning board. And then after the zoning board, whether they approve it or disapprove it, it comes to the board. And when it comes to the board then can approve or disapprove the variance. And that did occur with one property already, where they had asked for storage, the storage went through zoning said yes, it got to the board. And considering we are looking at, well, I mean, I could turn it over to Mark as far as we're trying to get the commercial properties to be commercial properties, not storage sheds. And that's why we disapproved the storage shed. In the vacant, if I can quickly address that, if I find it in the ordinance, where we, a vacant building,
The definition is on
please,
the
thank
third
you.
page. Vacant building, a building or structure which is any one or more of the following: unoccupied and unsecured, unoccupied and secured by other than normal means, unoccupied and an unsafe building as determined by the enforcement officer, unoccupied and an enforcement officer has issued an order to correct code violations, or illegally occupied.
It doesn't say anything about storage.
That's
Well, but
correct.
storage isn't zoned for that area.
Commercial does not have storage.
Right, storage is not an appropriate or accepted use in a commercial area.
In days of COVID, who determines unoccupied?
I'm sorry, but you cannot speak. I said that at the beginning of the meeting, and I will continue to say it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm still confused about it. You know,
Seasonal use.
why can't the building be used as storage if it's being used properly and upkept and everything
But
else?
storage is not an approved use in our ordinance for that zone,
But it's better than nothing.
is it?
But if they want
Yeah.
it
Why?
for storage,
At least
Denny-
there's some income coming from the storage.
No, there's not.
No,
No, there's not.
If I,
To
if
the
I
owner
could-
there is.
If I could ask, Mark, could you address that, please?
Well, I'll make this brief, but I could go on and talk about this for hours. I've looked at every community from Route 30 from Sugar Grove all the way out to here. Route 30, every community from Route 47 all the way to Rochelle. And same way in 72, same way in 34. You can go back through the census of the populations of every single town, including Leland, Somonauk, Pawpaw, it's not even on a highway. All of those since 1990, populations, for the most part, are 25 to 50% larger than they were in 1990. Shebona's smaller. Why is Shebona smaller? All these other communities seem to be able to thrive and succeed. I just don't get it, and part of it is, and we've heard this from people looking at opening businesses there, they won't even stop when they see all vacant buildings. In those buildings, and you can look this up too, it's all public record at the recorder's office where these taxes. This year, finally, the assessed evaluations and net tax values on properties in Shabana are back to what they were in 2008, that was the peak. For 16 consecutive years, they've been going down. And you can look at other communities that I just mentioned, theirs started to go up several years ago, and they didn't go down near as much. Because vacant buildings just feed on one another.
Is that something we need to study?
We don't have to study it, it's been studied all across the United States.
No, there's gotta be a reason.
Well, there is a reason. Number one, those buildings in the municipalities, many of those vacant buildings at one time were sources of revenue for the village. We have many of the vacant buildings and maybe the storage units. The village's share of property taxes we get is somewhere between $20 and $50 a year. That's the only revenue the village receives from those properties. We have some in town, and I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but the house next to here that just sold, their tax bill last year was $1.02 total, is what they paid the county. You won't see that in other communities,
Yeah,
but
well-
it happens here.
But what's going on in Shabana that isn't going on in other communities? Where we end up,
People need to sell their property if they're not gonna do anything with it. And they can't ask a price that's 30 or 40 times higher than what they've been paying taxes for it.
so you think it's a property owner's
I do.
problem? Well, I'm just trying to narrow it down,
That's a big part of it,
you know,
I do.
I mean, we could.
because it doesn't make any sense, we're the only community in the area that's going downhill.
I know it doesn't,
Right.
there has to be
So
a reason.
I'm just trying to find out a reason for us going downhill.
Well, growth is number one. Like I mentioned, our populations went down. These other communities have all grown, some of them very substantially, many of them a minimum of 25% over the past 30 years now. But here hasn't. Well, we've had really no new development to speak of.
And when you ask, what are we doing, we've worked with, community development to get a 501c together to, as an economic engine, to assist the buildings downtown, to assist the owners to get something going. But when we have building owners that are offered money, that are offered a purchase price, and they just say no, and we know that, that there have been offers made for buildings by, I know of one building, that there have been 5 offers that have been very good offers that he won't accept. The owner will not accept it, for whatever his reason, it is not accepted. I know of offers made on other, properties that are rentals, that, there has been no acceptance, they won't accept it, not even negotiate. So, they move out of town. Why should I invest in Shabana if I can get, a building in Waterman? Or Hinckley? And, Hinckley has, more than one restaurant, they have a lot of amenities we don't. And, the same with Waterman. Waterman, look at the boom that they have going with their, housing.
So do you think there's anything else we could do
We could-
besides grin and bear it?
The vacant building is one of the ways we're going, is to influence the landowners and the building owners to do something with your property. The other thing is, we have an economic engine that we're trying to get going, with Purdy Park, to get Purdy Park going, to get an interest in the village, to get people to come to the village. Dave we're trying to have festivals, we get minimal participation, and you, the council, are the only ones that work these festivals, other than, say Cindy's folks over at the craft shows. You do the work. We don't have any volunteer organizations, we have nobody from the community who steps up. We invite people to come in, some can, some can't, but we get very minimal help from the community in doing this. So it's your council that puts these on, and I want to be stronger voiced in the letter I send to the community about the 4th of July, that this is not gonna happen every year, because it's only these folks up here that put these things on. And how we can inspire people, I don't know. We try.
Well,
And-
I'd say
and we have-
don't give up.
Denny, yeah, we have a library that's going to fail. The library is gonna go in the toilet because people don't want to support it. Now,
Right.
people that live in, Mark, could you give us a short rundown of why the library is in the hole? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just more on the vacant buildings. When we looked at this, and I know Allison was instrumental in this and several other board members of this ordinance, we found that literally hundreds of communities across the state of Illinois and thousands across the Midwest, especially rural communities, have done the same thing, and many of them have been extremely successful with this program, because it got people to do something, sell their property, fix it up, get a business in it or something. And so far, what I've seen is, I've seen, some of the buildings have been cleaned up and painted and they look much nicer, which will help. Because we've been told by large developers, they will not invest in Shabana with buildings looking like crap, excuse my language, but they won't. They won't even associate themselves.
And then there's been other people that want to build a building and the person won't sell, so they want to lease the building or lease the land.
Yeah,
You're not gonna put 200,000 into a building and lease land.
I understand what you're saying, but
Denny, I can tell you that the Dollar
I
General.
hate to give up.
Yeah, Dollar Tree came in, and they wanted to put a dollar store in here. Now, the community feeling was, we don't want a dollar store in town. I spoke with the landlord said, yeah, we don't want a dollar store either, but if that's the only option, let's do it.
Yep.
And so I talked to Dollar Tree, I said, you're our only option, you get us a grocery section in your store, we can do it. And then the landowner put the price up here and they said adios.
Yeah. And I also know there's always two sides to a story, so would anybody on the board be offended if I talk to, everybody knows who we're talking about? The two people, one man and one
Absolutely
woman.
not.
But, would anybody on the board be objectionable to me sitting down and asking what's their side of the story?
Not at all.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
More power to you.
Okay.
Everybody has been in that catbird seat already. Believe me, I have asked every one of them to do this.
Another,
Okay, well, I just wanted to put it out there.
No, you're welcome. Now, I don't want any more further discussion on this. I think one more thing. Always he has one more thing.
a really big part of all of this is the village, we have a tight budget. And there's so many things I think people in this community would like to see done, but until we can increase our revenue, which a major component of village and municipal revenue across the nation is the percentage of the sales taxes they receive. We need to get businesses that sell things. And that is huge. Dollar General or Dollar Tree, for example, who was looking at here. I reached out to them, in the first year alone, they would have generated somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 in new sales tax revenue to this village. And the fact that we do have a non-home rule sales tax, it would have been double that. That would have been a significant, just one store. So we need to get businesses here.
Yeah, and we got 400,000 people coming to our
Yeah,
state park
Or more than that, yeah.
that the town's not benefiting off of.
That's correct.
It was 800 last year.
Yeah, you knew it went way down.
How much?
800 last year.
Yeah.
800,000, was it? Yeah.
And we need to work together with the park and capitalize on that, work with DNR, which I think we have a much better working.
Well, that's another thing maybe I'll stick my nose into to see how we could work something out that way.
There are, Denny, and a lot of these avenues we're trying to work through with the building cabinet together. We are looking at $20,000 that we're getting through the county that we're going to invest in the building cabinet together, which is gonna turn around and invest that money into Purdy Park.
That'll be on next month's agenda.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna offend anybody by doing that.
No, I mean, we have tried multiple avenues on many different fronts. We've attended many events, we attend, you know, and to be honest, we're not the only town that faces these type of situations.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you very much.
We do,
Okay.
we do participate in, we meet with, not all of the northern Illinois communities, but a majority of them, on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. And that's the type of things these communities talk about. So what we're trying to do is, we look at things that communities have been successful at. That's, I think, what we really need to focus on is doing what they're doing. We can't continue to do the same thing we've been doing apparently forever in the past, because that hasn't worked. So we gotta look at things that have succeeded in communities that have really improved their qualities of life for their citizens.
Yeah, I mean, Utica down there off of Starved Rock, they do gangbuster business.
Yeah.
And, I've often suggested that maybe a committee needs to go down there and talk to the mayor and the village board and, see what they do, why they're so successful.
And I've worked with them in my past job, so.
Yeah, that'd be a good spot to start.
Same with the
All right,
Senate.
can we move along then? No more, about the vacant buildings. Next item, we're going to consideration approval to amend the ordinance 421, animals and animal control. This was brought up, by a resident that had their dogs attacked by the neighbor's dogs. They had 5 dogs, these people only have 2 dogs. And, our ordinance is a bit understated, I guess, if you will, as far as dogs and animals. And I know that, the clerk has given you different examples. Do you have any suggestions of what you wanna do? Because, by next meeting, I'd like to have something to present to the council to vote on, rather than keep kicking the can down the road without making any adjustments or changes.
Have we heard any more from those residents that were here the last meeting?
No.
Okay.
Did
you get a chance to talk to the sheriff
About the animals?
about the
About the
lack of
enforcement.
response?
No, I have not.
The ordinance that's presented here in our packet, I believe is from Kendall County, Plano.
Most everybody has a pretty similar one, theirs was the best laid out.
I think it,
You don't have to use the whole thing by any means.
right,
It just
I
was
think
an
theirs is a
example.
bit lengthy, but I don't, personally, I don't know why we couldn't, because I did notice they have a section in there, even if it limits the number of dogs or cats. Which I think we may need to do. I can foresee a problem down the road if we don't. I think we should pattern ours very similar to this. That's just my feeling. I haven't looked into it that far, but I did see some things.
If we do accept an ordinance that limits the number of dogs and cats, I think we have to, you know, if someone says they've had 4 dogs for the last 20 years, I mean, you know, at some point, we have to leave some leeway to cull the herd at some time. We can't just tell them to adios your pet,
Right.
you know, so I mean, we'll look at that also as a method to get this going. And then, of course, then it comes down to enforcement, and we would have to alert the sheriff's office too. This is the new law in town, and we would enforce it. So I encourage you, please look at this, strike it out, outline it, whatever you think is gonna work, what won't work, but I'd like to, by next council, have something ready for the summer. That we can have something we can work on. Any questions on that? Next item, we'll go to new business. Under new business, the first item for consideration is the approval to repeal ordinance 4211/4212, the keeping of chickens. We have had, this ordinance on the books for more than 5 years. There's been just a number of applicants, no one has followed through on it, and, we end up with people that get chickens and then try and apply them, or end up with chickens. So I think what we're looking at is amending it to repeal the ordinance, and then we have to go back to our animal ordinance to include no chickens, no fowl. So what I would be looking at, first of all, would be a motion to repeal the ordinance.
Go ahead.
I looked into this just a little bit after the meeting we were at our house. Is it as simple as just repealing the ordinance, or do we have to introduce a resolution and change, and gotta go through that? So it'd take about 3 meetings to get through it.
No, not really. We can bring back an ordinance if you know what you want to do.
Okay.
But the concept,
Is
you're
it-
saying no chickens.
No chickens, no fowl, you know,
Ducks either?
ducks, birds, yeah, not parrots.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've had this ordinance, but we've had no one actually
No one has ever registered.
registered or
A
got a
couple
permit.
people looked into it. One now owes money to BNF for doing the plan review. And then they had to, rehome the chickens that were living in their garage, cause that's a
I will say
violation
that
of health code.
when we passed the ordinance, it did eliminate the guy that was raising chickens in his basement,
Hold on,
didn't it?
no, that was after, that was that renter that couldn't get, booted because of COVID.
Okay.
And
But
then they spent months cleaning up that basement.
chickens in the basement. So, that being said,
Do we need to make it like a resolution, or we do that the next meeting, or how's that?
we just make
If
a
you wanna
motion.
get rid of, well, if you wanna get rid of it, just let me know and we'll bring an ordinance that,
Yeah.
Covers both of them?
yeah.
I would make
Okay.
a motion that we move forward with rescinding or repealing ordinance
Well-
42-11 and 42-12.
Can we ask, just at this point to have him, do we need to rescind it now, or can you, we just put it
You're
off till
just-
the next meeting and you'll have something to rescind and
He
accept?
just motioned for Keith to do that.
Okay, I don't really need a motion to, all, okay, I need a
I'll
second,
second.
I have a second discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, chickens. The next item we have, Jen, if you will address this, enhancing countywide infrastructure planning event.
I included that, Josh Clark actually gave that to me after the Building Chevron Together meeting last Thursday. We didn't get any information on that unless someone got their email. I didn't, and Don didn't, or he would have forwarded it to me. The event is being hosted by the DeKalb County Community Development, and he said that he's heard it's supposed to be really good. There's some great information shared and presented. So if there's anybody, board member, public works, village president, treasurer, deputy clerk, that would like to attend, the link that's highlighted yellow is a clickable link and you can email to RSVP. So feel free if you can and want to attend. So, that's all it was.
The last item on the agenda is number 9.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Okay.
Those opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance.
I know y'all are adjourned, but can I just ask a quick question, or just say something? I couldn't come to the meeting on time because nowhere on your website is it posted where you even have your meeting. So, that is just a thing out there, because I drove around and had to make a few phone calls to people to say, where is this place at, and give me directions to get here. So if y'all could put it out there, maybe
It will
people
be
could
done.
show up. I mean, I know the idea is not to have us here talking, but it's kinda hard. And then the only second thing I wanted to ask was, y'all are so concerned about cars being parked there, how come there's no snow thing and y'all don't tow? Every village that I've ever lived in the past, if you parked on, during snow and it's posted,
The simple
you get
answer is
towed.
we do not have that in our ordinance, we are looking at changing.
I would definitely put that in there, because that's gonna save you all of those extra fines, the car's gone, you can clean the streets, and we can all drive through there.
Thank you.
Board meeting is posted on the main page of the village website, the date and that it's held at Village Hall at 7 PM, and then the agenda is
But
posted.
Village
with
Hall
the-
is,
No, that's
Village
village
Hall.
office.
That's the village office.
It's also at the top of the agenda, the
You could
address
use
is
it
there.
probably for.
okay, I tried to find it, I couldn't find it.
Can you put an address on there too?
It's on the agenda.
It's on.
It's on the agenda.
Is it on the agenda?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's at the top of the agenda.
Okay,
Alright.
well, I was digging, I didn't find it easily.
In Village Hall and Public Works Department, 206 South Black Street, right on the website.
It's that vacant building.